let us begin our class. Now, I had given you Sonnet 18 to write the substance and also to write the critical note. Since I have not received any such message from you through WhatsApp, so I think that you have not any of you written that. But I would request you to do attempt at least try your hand at writing the substance and adding the critical note based on your the classes that you have attended so far. Now I will today so do write and send it to me. Now in today's class I will discuss one of the essays you have in your syllabus. In your syllabus you have SEC-2 syllabus, of course. You have essays which could carry 35 marks. So that is one of the very important parts. So let us look at one essay which is important and which has been said even earlier also. So let us look at this essay, Relevance of Shakespeare in the 21st Century. So in today's class, I will be discussing this particular essay, how to, these are some of the main points. So we will have to develop this. Now, when you are writing an essay on this particular topic, relevance of Shakespeare in the 21st century, obviously, the points that have been mentioned here, you can incorporate, but you have to, build up on this. So you have to give quotations from the texts, from the sonnets that Shakespeare had written, and also from some of his major plays. So let us look at this topic. So how do you write the introduction to this essay? Obviously, we will mention that William Shakespeare is one of the most celebrated writers in world literature. Though he lived during the Elizabethan and Jacobean periods, his works continue to attract readers and audiences across the globe. So we will begin in this way, that William Shakespeare, though he was a person who lived so many years ago, that is in the the last part of the mid 16th century and the beginning of the 17th century. So you know that he was born in 1564 and he died in 1616. So, but he is one of the most celebrated writers in world literature. So his works have been translated into so many different languages. Now, readers and audiences, they continue to read his works, and his plays have been enacted on the stage all over the world. So his plays and poems deal with universal human experiences, making them as meaningful today as they were more than 400 years ago. So the themes, what were the themes of his plays and sonnets, of course, though his plays are, he's more known as a dramatist, the foremost dramatist, in fact, the greatest dramatist in the world. Now, so what were the themes of his plays? Now, before writing this, there is actually something you can add to this. Now, when you write the first few lines introducing William Shakespeare and commenting that his works continue to attract readers and audiences across the globe, you can incorporate or add a saying by the Danish critic and scholar. His name was Georg Brandes, Georg Brandes, Brandes. So now he was a Danish scholar, Shakespearean scholar, and he was very much, instrumental in sort of translating the works of Shakespeare into the Danish language, and introducing Shakespeare to the Danish speaking public. Now, he had said one thing, a quotation, which I think is relevant in this context, and you can just write it down. I'm going to dictate it. It's a very short quotation. It goes like this, quote, 300 years after his creation, comma, 300 years after his creation, comma. So when Brandes was writing, uh, it was 300 years, but it's now been more. Hamlet is still the confidant. Hamlet, you know the play Hamlet, which is one of his major plays, major tragedies. Hamlet here, of course, refers to the Prince of Denmark, the uh, character Hamlet, not the play Hamlet. Hamlet is still the confidant, Confidant. Confidant means someone with whom you can share your heart or your uh, innermost thoughts and feelings. And friend, confidant and friend of sad and thoughtful souls in every land, unquote. So this is the quotation which you might use in your at the beginning of your essay. So 300 years after his creation, comma, Hamlet is still the confidant and friend of sad and thoughtful souls in every land. So obviously it is made with reference to the character of Hamlet, who was a great dramatic creation, but it is also applicable to Shakespeare himself, because more than 4 centuries have gone by, but his plays and poems still haunt us. They still touch the minds and hearts of the lovers of literature. So we can begin the essay in this way. And the enduring popularity of Shakespeare demonstrates his continuing relevance in the 21st century. So the popularity of his writings, the fact that they have been translated into so many languages in so many, countries, in where the Shakespearean plays and the Shakespearean sonnets, the poems have been very much uh, a subject of discussion, a subject of analysis. So we can, sorry, not this one. So the continuing relevance in the 21st century. Now let us look at the how we would then go about writing the essay after the introduction. The first point that you have to write is about the universal human themes in his essays. So we have to write like this: Shakespeare's works explore themes that are common to all ages and societies. So the themes that are found in his plays generally, they are common to all ages and societies. So these are universal themes. For example, love in Romeo and Juliet, uh, which is one of his great plays, ambition in Macbeth, jealousy in Othello, and revenge in Hamlet remain central concerns of human life. So even after all these years, we continue to recognize these emotions or feelings such as love, ambition, jealousy, revenge, which were, you know, uh, portrayed by Shakespeare in these plays. Now, there were, of course, other plays where, for example, love plays a very important role. Now, in a play like As You Like It or uh, Twelfth Night, the romantic comedies, I'm speaking about the romantic comedies of Shakespeare. You can add these plays or A Midsummer Night's Dream. Love also is one of the main themes. Obviously, ambition, that is the foremost thing in Macbeth. In Othello, it is jealousy and kind of a hasty action. For Hamlet, it is the emotion of revenge and procrastination or delaying to take the revenge. In King Lear, which is another very important tragedy, we find how the old king is betrayed by his daughters, the two elder daughters, while his youngest daughter remains faithful to him and she loves him truly. So we have to mention these things. And, then, of course, we have to go to this particular fact or mention this fact that modern readers can easily identify with these emotions and conflicts because they are timeless aspects of the human condition. So, for modern readers, readers like us, young readers like you people, so why would you read Shakespeare? What would interest you? So, obviously, you will be able to identify with these emotions because you will find that in the modern world, uh, they are, of course, very much relevant in modern society. And the conflicts that arise out of the interplay of these emotions. And sorry, these things make, these plays timeless, documents of the human condition. So this is the most important factor. The fact that Shakespeare is talking about certain characters and certain emotions which are timeless. So they become sort of in this way, they transcend the barriers of time. Though they were composed during the or written during the the Elizabethan or the Jacobean period, so many years ago. But in the 21st century, in the first part of the 21st century, they are still very much relevant. So, as a result, Shakespeare's works continue to appeal to people from different cultures and generations. So, these are emotions which are not confined or characteristic of any particular culture or any particular religion or any particular generation as such. So they are, you can say, universal feelings and emotions. So the first point to note here is universal human themes. So you mention this at the beginning of the essay when you are writing it out. Next, we come to insight into human nature. Shakespeare's, splendid insight into human nature, which is evident through his, the depiction of his characters. So Shakespeare possessed an extraordinary understanding of human psychology. So the characters, mainly the characters, uh, the tragic heroes, uh, of course, the characters in his romantic comedies or in his historical plays are important. But if you look at the characters in his uh, tragedies, the four great tragedies mainly, that is Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, and Macbeth. the heroes of all these four tragedies, they are studies in human psychology. So his characters are not simple heroes or villains, but complex individuals with strengths, weaknesses, desires, and fears. So if you take up, for example, the character of Hamlet, you will see that he has some flaws in his character. He is a youth, the Prince of Denmark, but though he gathers sufficient proof that his uncle Claudius is the murderer of his late father, but he hesitates to take revenge. So that is his, flaw. The fact that he prevaricates, meaning he delays things. He cannot act promptly. So he is delaying things till the last act of the play. So all throughout the play, you will find there are certain dialogues. For example, the dialogue that uh, kind of begins with to be or not to be, that is the question. So obviously, this dialogue is very important uh, in order to bring before us Hamlet's dilemma, or his, you can say, his inability to take the correct decision. So this is his, you can say, tragic flaw. And the dramatist is very, he very beautifully and vividly portrays this dilemma within Hamlet's mind. So when you are writing this particular, you have mentioned this particular uh, point to substantiate with your reference to Hamlet. Again, in the character of Macbeth, of course, you see how a hero who acts so bravely uh, at the beginning of the play, after the prophecy of the three witches, how he is transformed and how he becomes a ruthless kind of a ruler and a villain uh, who does not stop at anything. He is to gain the crown of Scotland. So he kills his king, he kills Macduff's wife and children, and he has Banquo killed. So it is a kind of a situation where the mind of the hero is probed into. The dramatist is trying to not to just present his outer actions, but also what is happening inside his mind. Right from the moment when we hear that Banquo and Macbeth were returning through the blasted heath, and the three sisters, the weird sisters, that is the witches, they came upon, they met them and made the prophecies. So Macbeth, from that time, how he was startled by these prophecies. And from that time, it was instigated by Lady Macbeth, of course. He was sort of goaded on by his wife, but still, the seeds of ambition were there, latent in his mind. So again, it is the same with Othello, the jealousy, the emotion of jealousy, which he wrongly suspects his wife Desdemona and ultimately kills her at the instigation of the villain Iago. So you have to mention these things. Characters such as Hamlet, Macbeth, and King Lear reveal the inner struggles that many people experience in their own lives. So the emotions that trouble these great heroes, they also sometimes they afflict ordinary persons. And in a way, the ordinary readers, when they are reading a particular Shakespearean tragedy, he or she will be able to identify himself or herself with these characters. So his portrayal of human emotions and motivations remains realistic and relevant even today. So obviously, you have to mention that the human emotions, the true human emotions and motivations, obviously the motives through which these heroes they work and they reach their ultimate ends, how they act and they commit mistakes, which obviously lead them on to their destructions. So these, of course, they ring a kind of a familiar, uh, you can say, chord in the minds of the readers because they can identify with these emotions. So this is the first part, first paragraph, as it were. Next, we will go on to explain relevance to contemporary society. Now, many social and political issues depicted in Shakespeare's plays continue to exist in the modern world. So, uh, Shakespeare had written such plays, some political plays, some historical plays, and some social plays as well. So, you can say the themes dealt with in these plays, they are extremely relevant even today. For example, the abuse of power in Macbeth. If you look at the play Macbeth, the central character, Macbeth himself, is a person who, uh, as I said a little while ago, he is in fact not stopping at anything. He is, in order to gain the crown of Scotland, so he murders almost everybody and becomes the king of Scotland. So here it is, we can say, he is abusing his power. He is trying to hold on to his power in an evil way, not by doing good for his people, but by abusing the power. Now, in Julius Caesar, which is another very great tragedy, uh, there we find the political manipulations. Julius Caesar, you know that he was one of the great Roman generals who gained absolute power. In Rome, there was this triumvirate, meaning a group of three persons who ruled Rome at one point of time. But Julius Caesar became the most powerful of this group of three persons, and he became almost a dictator, an absolute dictator, and he was assassinated by his own senators and friends like Brutus, Cassius, Casca, and others. So, if you have read the play, you will understand the. It's a historical play, no doubt, because Julius Caesar was a real character. He was a real character. He existed in Roman history, but it is a play which is full of these political manipulations and racial prejudice in Othello. So racial prejudice meaning Othello himself, he is a black person, that is a Moor, M-O-O-R, Moor. So that is a person of black lineage. So, and that is a racial kind of a discrimination that we find there. So these things, they have clear parallels in contemporary society. So obviously, these still persist, these things still persist. And people will be able to, even in the 21st century, they will be able to identify with the conditions of these heroes, the way they are acting, how they are sort of behaving towards their subjects and their contemporaries. So his works encourage readers to reflect on leadership, justice, social conflict, and ethical responsibility. So his works would encourage readers to reflect on leadership, the kind of leadership that is good for the people. So is it a kind of leadership that is embodied by Macbeth, the cruel tyrant, or is it something that is embodied by King Lear, who is in his old age? He measures the loyalty of his daughters by the kind of their pronouncements of love, how much they love him. So he summons all three of his daughters, and he asks them, how much do you love me? So he asks his daughters, and the first two daughters, obviously, uh, they feign, or they say things to please him. But Cordelia, who is the youngest daughter, she does not say anything extravagant, but she says that as much as a daughter should love her father, and this answer does not please Lear, and he banishes her. So, and ultimately he understands what wrong he has committed. Now, so the leadership, the kind of leadership that is there, justice, the issue of justice. Is justice done in case of, for example, King Duncan, whom Macbeth murders? Banquo is murdered, then Macduff's children and wife, and of course, in case of Hamlet himself and Hamlet's father, the king. Again, for Desdemona, justice is not done. Now, the social conflict is very much there in the plays, and ethical responsibility. So, what is right, what is wrong? The heroes, tragic heroes, they cannot decide on what is right or what is wrong, because they commit certain, they do certain things, they commit certain actions which are ethically wrong. For example, Macbeth, Othello, all of them. So, they are, in a sense, suffering from different flaws, tragic flaws. So we can say here that Shakespeare helps modern audiences better understand the challenges of their own age. So the modern age is full of conflicts, full of modern, dilemmas. The psychological dilemmas are there. So a Shakespearean play, a tragedy or a comedy, or more of it's a tragedy which depicts these things clearly. So the Shakespearean play is obviously a kind of a pointer to all these things. Now, his influence on literature and language. Shakespeare made a lasting contribution to the English language. Now, the contribution or the development of the English language. So he coined many words and expressions that are still used today. Now, phrases such as all's well that ends well, break the ice, wild goose chase, originated in his works. There are many other works. Now, you can look up the internet and you will be able to unearth many phrases or words which were used by Shakespeare in his plays, which have come to be, current in conversational English now, modern English. So his style of writing, imagery, dramatic techniques have influenced countless writers and continue to shape modern literature. So though his writings were, part of the earlier age, uh, so many years ago, but still they are relevant in this way. The style of his poetic style, dramatic style, It is so engaging. It has a kind of a suspense which holds the attention of the readers. The wonderful imagery that is there, and a whole number of books have been written by critics uh, explaining his imageries, dramatic techniques, as I mentioned. So countless writers, they have tried to follow Shakespeare. They have tried to write like him, and thus modern literature has been shaped by his works in this way. So this is an important aspect, his influence on literature and language, the English language, how it has been enriched by the numerous words coined by Shakespeare. Now, adaptability to modern media. One reason for Shakespeare's enduring popularity is the adaptability of his works. So his works have been adapted to the modern stage. His plays were enacted, they were acted out on the Elizabethan and Jacobean stages, and they were immensely successful. But they are such plays that they have been adapted to the modern stage as well. They have been produced and enacted in the modern times, numerous times. His stories can be successfully retold in different settings and cultures. So the main story, the gist, or the main characters are kept undisturbed, and the story is retold by different writers in different languages, maybe in different cultures also, not essentially uh, to an English speaking, native English speakers. For example, we as Indian readers, you know that uh, many such adaptations have been made in films also. So maybe you can recall one Bollywood film called Maqbool, which was made on, I think, Macbeth, which was based on Macbeth. Then numerous Bengali adaptations have been made, also theater adaptations. So these are going on. Modern films, television productions, stage performances frequently reinterpret Shakespeare for contemporary audiences. So these are very important. We have to mention this and put emphasis on this, because this would show the acceptance of his plays, how they are being reinterpreted, new meanings are being unearthed from the dialogues, from the settings, everything, the characters. So the stage performances are going on. So these adaptations demonstrate that his themes and characters remain relevant, regardless of historical period or cultural background. So obviously, themes and characters are very much important. Uh, Not only during his time, but so many centuries after his death, still it is going on. So this is the fifth point that we have to mention. Next, we come to the educational importance. So Shakespeare remains a significant part of educational curricula throughout the world. So obviously, we are still reading his poems, sonnets. We are still reading his plays, some of his major plays. For example, uh, when we were students, we read Macbeth and Twelfth Night, apart from his sonnets, sonnets 18, sonnet 73, and sonnet 130. Obviously later the syllabus changed a bit. As You Like It was incorporated, and The Merchant of Venice is there. We also read during our MA days, The Winter's Tale, Antony and Cleopatra, Hamlet, King Lear. So these were some of the wonderful plays that are have been incorporated in most of the syllabi of the different universities all across India, in our country as well as in the Asian countries and in the European, everywhere in North America, everywhere. So they are being these works are being introduced. His works help students develop language skills, critical thinking, and literary appreciation. So obviously, the students like you people who are reading his plays, your language will develop, your vocabulary will develop. You will be able to understand the Shakespearean language. You will start to think critically in order to understand the issues raised by his writings. So you have to think critically. And also, there's the question of literary appreciation also. That is, of course, is there when you have to write out answers. So studying Shakespeare introduces learners to rich vocabulary, poetic techniques, and dramatic structures. So all these three things. Uh, his rich vocabulary is there. You have to sometimes consult a good dictionary in order to understand the meanings or the relevance, because some words are no longer used in modern English. Now, poetic techniques, of course, when you read his sonnets, or if you have read his longer poems, but mostly his sonnets. Uh, in his dramatic works, of course, the poetic prose is there, and dramatic structure, how the play unfolds, the structures into which it is divided. Now, you can look at obviously how his works encourage discussions of important moral, social, and psychological issues. Moral, social, and psychological issues. So these are some of the themes with which he was concerned in his works. So these were dealt with again and again, and these are very much relevant in the modern times. We have seen that how they are relevant. Number seven is global appeal. Shakespeare's works have been translated into hundreds of languages and performed in almost every part of the world. So, as I was saying, his works have been translated into every civilized, every language, literary language, and that main languages also. And in every corner of the world, you might find a Shakespeare Society where his works are being read, they are being analyzed, and new interpretations are being derived from them. So audiences from different cultural backgrounds find meaning in his stories because they address universal human experiences. So we saw that how the universal human experiences are very much addressed in his plays. The themes that were there, which are very much familiar to the modern audience. His global popularity highlights the ability of literature to transcend national and cultural boundaries. So, this is obviously an important point. Uh, Global popularity. He is a writer who is very much relevant. He was an Englishman. He was mostly, not so educated like some of his contemporaries, but he of course, wrote such plays which uh, transcended the English nation, the British Isles. It went further and further until it spread throughout the each and every corner of the globe. So this signifies in itself the ability of literature, a good literature, obviously, good or excellent literature, how we can transcend the boundaries and of national boundaries. That is, it's not confined to a particular place from where it originated, but the cultural and national boundaries are obviously transcended. They are broken down, and work like Hamlet or Macbeth or King Lear, it has traveled to the colonies of the British Empire, like uh, our country or in our neighboring countries, or any other European country, Asian country. So this is very important when we are discussing about the relevance. Now, number 8 is exploration of moral and ethical questions. Shakespeare's plays often present difficult moral choices and ethical dilemmas. Obviously, we see that in Hamlet. We see that in the case of King Lear, Othello, uh, all the important plays, tragedies mostly. Characters must decide between duty and desire, loyalty and ambition, justice and revenge. So these are the particular things which divide the character. What should he do? What kind of action should he perform? So these conflicts encourage audiences to reflect on their own values and decisions. Obviously, the kind of conflict that arises from these plays, they uh, enable the audience to reflect on their own values and decisions. In an age marked by rapid social and technological change, Shakespeare's exploration of ethics remains particularly valuable. So, obviously, this is an age of change, the modern age. So much of technological change is taking place, but our old Shakespeare still remains the same, and he remains uh, relevant even today. So the questions of ethics, the choice of the ethical choice, obviously it is there. So number 9 point. Now, when you will be writing, do not mention these numbers and these small subtitles, but make new paragraphs. Now, Shakespeare continues to inspire writers, filmmakers, actors, musicians, and artists throughout the world. Obvious, you can understand this, how he has had a huge influence on these people. Numerous novels, films, operas, and artworks are based on or influenced by his plays and poems. So the posterity, that is, the later generations, have uh, clung to Shakespeare's, examples. His imaginative storytelling and memorable characters provide a rich source of creative inspiration even in the digital age. So our age is the digital age. It is the age of artificial intelligence. But the kind of storytelling that Shakespeare presented to us, presented for us, the memorable characters that he had created. So all these are rich sources of creative inspiration. So they remain as such. So at the end of our essay on this relevance of Shakespeare in the 21st century, we can conclude by saying this in a separate paragraph, the concluding paragraph. Now, Shakespeare remains highly relevant in the 21st century because his works address timeless human concerns and universal emotions. We will see this. His profound understanding of human nature, enduring influence on language and literature, ability to speak to modern social issues ensure his continued significance. The obvious analogy is this. More than 4 centuries after his death, Shakespeare continues to educate, entertain, and inspire people across the world, proving that great literature transcends time and place. So, obviously, uh, great literature such as the tragedies of Shakespeare, the sonnets of Shakespeare, and his other plays, they will, uh, of course, transcend the time and place. They would not be confined to a particular time in which they were written, or they will also transcend the or move away from the place, that is the British Isles. So this is our essay. I tried to give you a kind of outline of how you can write uh, an essay on this particular topic, relevance of Shakespeare in the 21st century, you have to um, elaborate on this by giving certain quotations from the plays. For example, Hamlet's "To be or not to be," then Macbeth's some of the soliloquies, one or two, King Lear, all the tragic heroes, which would substantiate your answer and they would enrich your answer. So uh, stopping here today, I hope that you have understood or you have followed carefully what we have, what I have tried to show you here.